I've never written anything like this before. Honestly, I don't even know who I expect will read it. But I need to get it out of my head, because if I don't, I'm afraid I'll lose track of what's real. My name is David Lorne. I used to commute every night on the 1:15 a.m. train from Ashwood station to the city. I don't anymore. I can't. Ashwood was a quiet station at the edge of town, 2 platforms, a crumbling brick office, and vending machines that almost always stole your change. At night, it felt abandoned. Most times, I was the only person waiting, except maybe an old drunk or a stray cat. I told myself I didn't mind. The silence was calming. But in December last year, things changed. The first night I noticed something was off. The air felt heavier than usual, as if the station itself were holding its breath. I sat on the bench, scrolling through my phone, when I heard footsteps echoing along the platform. I looked up, expecting to see someone else had arrived, but the platform was empty. I stood, walked a few steps, listening. The footsteps stopped when I did. They started again when I moved, like someone was pacing exactly in time with me, but just out of sight. My skin crawled, and I told myself it was sound bouncing strangely off the walls. Then, from the far end of the platform, I saw a figure. A man. He was tall, thin, dressed in an old-fashioned coat that reached past his knees. He wasn't moving toward me, just standing there under the flickering light, too far for me to make out his face. I raised a hand, a weak attempt at a wave, but he didn't react. He didn't move at all. The train's headlight appeared then, sweeping across the tracks, and in that instant the figure was gone. Just gone. I got on the train trying to convince myself he'd stepped off into the shadows, but I couldn't shake the feeling he hadn't been a person at all. Over the next 2 weeks he kept appearing, always at the station, always watching from a distance. Sometimes he stood across the tracks, sometimes behind the fence, but never closer. No one else seemed to notice. Other passengers, on the rare nights there were any, acted normal, eyes on their phones, earbuds in. But I felt him staring. One night, I decided I'd had enough. I shouted at him. "Hey, what do you want?" My voice echoed across the empty station. The man didn't move. But then, faintly, I swear I heard him whisper back. "Your seat is waiting." The train arrived before I could process what that meant. I climbed aboard, and for the first time, I saw him not just on the platform, but inside, standing at the far end of my car. No one else reacted. They walked past him like he wasn't there. I nearly ran off, but the doors closed and the train pulled away. I sat frozen, eyes locked on him. He never moved closer, never sat. Just stood in the aisle, hands hidden in his coat pockets. When we pulled into the city, he was gone. I thought about quitting the night shifts, about asking my boss to change my schedule. But I needed the money. So I kept going, even though every ride stretched my nerves thinner. Then came the night of the vanishing. The 1:15 was nearly empty. Just me, a college kid with headphones, and a middle-aged woman with shopping bags. I spotted him the moment I boarded, sitting this time 3 rows ahead facing me. I couldn't see his face, not clearly. It was like my eyes couldn't focus on it, like he was a blur even though everything else was sharp. But I could feel him smiling. The kid got off at the next stop. Then the woman. Soon it was just me and him. The train slowed between stations, unusual but not unheard of. The lights flickered. When they came back, he was sitting in the seat across from me. I couldn't breathe, my chest locked up. He leaned slightly forward, and I finally heard his voice clearly. "You're late. It's time to board properly." "What?" I managed to whisper. He tilted his head toward the window. Outside wasn't the suburbs anymore. No streets, no houses, just endless dark, broken by pale lights that flickered like lanterns in fog. The train stopped. Doors opened with a hiss, but there was no platform, just a stretch of black ground that seemed to go on forever. "Your seat is waiting," he said again. I stayed frozen. The doors closed. The train lurched forward. When I finally looked back, his seat was empty. I got off at my usual stop, stumbled home, and didn't sleep. I told myself I'd imagined it, hallucinated from exhaustion. But the next night I couldn't bring myself to go back. Since then, I've avoided Ashwood Station entirely. I switched jobs, moved apartments. But sometimes, when I'm walking alone at night, I hear those footsteps again, in sync with mine, waiting for me to stop. I know, sooner or later, I'll see him again. And when I do, I don't think I'll come back.